you would not vote for a CR in September. I thought I heard you say that.
Yes, I put it out on my social media. I'm not voting for September 30th CR. That is not what this majority should be about. Under Speaker Johnson's leadership, we have had to vote on CR after CR after CR. I've only voted on one because President Trump asked me to, and that was earlier this year. But we have had the entire year to get our appropriations done and actually do our budget, our government funding. And it is an absolute failure to ask us to vote on a September 30th CR. And I'm not doing it. And if anyone doubts that I will hold my vote, then they need to look at the fact that I was the only Republican that was a no vote on the rule last week. And I voted no on the Genius Act because it opened a backdoor to a central bank digital currency. It's up to Speaker Johnson to get our appropriations done, and that's what this conference meeting needs to be about, and the American people deserve that.
And you're backing Massey's discharge petition when it comes up?
I've co-sponsored it. I think I was the first or second co-sponsor, and yes, signed the discharge petition.
I was wondering, what do Republicans need to do to pass those appropriations?
Actually, it's what Democrats need to do, which is come to an agreement. It's up to them. I mean, we'll either have a CR, a shutdown, or we'll come to a deal. And we're producing the product we need to negotiate from. Looks like they're actually moving better in the Senate this year. Majority Leader Thune wants to put bills on the floor. This is going to be a big day. We'll find out if that can happen because we can't just get our work done and keep the government open. The Senate has to do its work, and then the White House has to be part of the deal. So we have enough stuff done, enough pieces in play. We can get there. It's just going to be who wants to get there and who doesn't. The Democrats, are looking for any reason to be upset right now, and that's fine. I've been there when we didn't have any power, and it's just kind of the nature of the business. The reality is they know that there have to be, because of the filibuster, Democratic votes in the end. So they're going to be part of a deal or they're not. Last time around, we offered them a better deal than a CR. They didn't take it. That was their fault, not ours. So we said, okay, the next thing is going to be a CR. They said, well, we don't think you can pass one out of the House. We did. And then I said, then it's up to you. And they decided they'd rather come to a deal than have a shutdown. But poor Chuck Schumer got beat up unfairly, in my view, by his own party. So they've got to decide, do they want to recognize the reality that Donald Trump is going to be the president for 4 years, and the Republicans have the majority in both chambers for this until 2026 election. We'll see what happens. So you're not in a strong position, but you do have the card of you can force a CR or shutdown, but they don't have a way out of a shutdown. So I would argue they're better off with a deal, but I can't make that decision for them. That's up to them.
Would you support a CR?
Over a shutdown? Sure. I would much prefer a negotiated deal. I think that's the right way to get there. But we've got people on both sides of the aisle that think CRs are good. Look, if you're a Republican, you should never want a CR when we're in the majority, particularly one which roots is in the time when Biden was president and they controlled the Senate. That's not a Republican CR. And frankly, if you're a Democrat, you're dealing yourself out of the game in a CR. And they have their own objectives, things they can do. So, but people have to want to come to a deal. Personally, I do. I think Susan Collins does. I'll leave it to my colleagues and really valued colleagues on the Democratic side decide whether they do, and the president do the same. But we should get to a deal.
What's your thoughts on a potential shutdown this fall, and how should Republicans approach their spending strategy here?
Look, any spending is going to have to be bipartisan. It always has been. We have avoided multiple shutdowns since I've been here in the last 5 years, but it's always had to be done in a bipartisan manner. And so we need to work with our colleagues on the other side of the aisle to get these appropriation bills passed and fund the government. Now I guess the fight's going to come between whether we do a continuing resolution, which obviously Republicans don't want to do, and I imagine that some Democrats would want to do that and carry the Biden budget forward. So we have to see how it plays out, but I'm certainly committed, as I've always been, avoiding a shutdown and making sure our government is responsibly funded.
And when Democrats say they might not vote for some of these appropriations bills after the rescissions, reconciliation packages, do you think they're bluffing, or how do you kind of get them to support these appropriations bills?
Well, and that's why these negotiations have to continue to be bipartisan. And obviously, there are certain things that are going to be important to the Democrats that we fund, and perhaps they were things that were rescinded, right, by the Doge, and they're going to have to work it. We're going to have to work it out in a way that we get the votes necessary. But this is where my Republican colleagues also need to recognize that when we don't stick together as a team, we oftentimes end up with something that is worse. And so we have to get the wins where we can, but I think that there are funding our government, avoiding a shutdown, making sure that our military is being paid, our Border Patrol agents are being paid, that everything is running as it should be in our government, requires government funding, and it should not be a partisan issue. So if we could take some of the politics out on some of the things that have been hyper politicized, I think we can come up with a very fair and balanced, responsible budget that Republicans and Democrats support. And I think that's what the American people really want. They want Republicans, Democrats, Independents to work together for the good of the country. And so we have to just figure it out and come up with a resolution as quickly as possible.
And would you support a CR if that were the only way to keep the government open?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say one way or another like what I would or would not support now because we're doing the negotiations. I trust that our leadership will be able to negotiate the best deal possible that protects the taxpayers and delivers the services that are needed for the American people. Obviously, most of us do not want to see a continuing resolution. We have a trifecta now, and we should be seeing a budget that reflects the Republican priorities that we ran on. But the vote count is just simply not there. You need to have multiple Democrats in the Senate to join us. And so we need to figure out how we get there and deliver the best, most responsible budget we can.
Hi, Congressman. You concerned about a shutdown this fall? How should Republicans strategize?
Shutdowns benefit no one. They are economically destructive. They are to be avoided. But how do you convince the majority of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle that being rational is the way to go?
Are you concerned at all about a shutdown, and how should Republicans strategize?
We're not going to shut down. We're not going to shut down. We're going to still take care of everybody else. We'll get their paycheck. Clocks, trains are going to run on time.
Would you support a FullYear CR if appropriations bills aren't able to go through?
I don't know if I want to go that far. Again, I came up here. I think I'm a big believer that the citizens of congressional district 1 spend their money better than Washington D.C. does. So where we do have a budget, we're actually based on the needs of our agencies and the work they're doing. That's always the best solution.
And what do you hope to get out of this meeting today?
It's free breakfast. So, no, but seriously, I'm looking forward to hear what the secretary has to say in his vision, and look, hopefully we get back to work later today.
Are you concerned about a funding shutdown in the fall, and would you?
I believe that we'll get our work done because it's something we have to do for the American people, and we'll get it done.
Would you support a CR?
Those are things that we'll talk within the family here, but the major part of it is that we have to make sure that we keep the government functioning, and it's absolutely important. And we want to make sure our military keeps getting paid, and that folks get their Social Security checks. But we've always had a lot of naysayers around this town, but we always seem to get the work done.
And some Democrats say they might not support appropriations bills. Do you think they're bluffing? Or?
Well, again, that's up to them. We're going to do our work, and I think that's important.
Are you concerned at all about a shutdown this fall? How should Republicans approach spending?
Oh, well, I'm on the Appropriations Committee, and we're working very hard to get these markups done in the full committee. We've got one today, Interior. And so, look, we're more than halfway there. I'm hoping, I know we only have, 17 legislative days before the end of our, before we go to in-district work period, but I'm confident we're going to keep working, and we're going to do our best to get it done. All right?
If Republicans can't get the support, would you be open to FullYear CR?
I am not even talking about a CR right now. We have lived under CR ever since I've been here. And now that I'm on Appropriations, I'm working under the leadership of Tom Cole to make sure that we return to regular order. That is our goal, and we're not looking back. All right?
Do you think Democrats are bluffing when they say they might withhold support here for these appropriations bills?
I don't really look. I've been in these markups, and they just talk. They're trying to talk everything to death. Same speeches over and over again. They're not going to be victorious. They may try to take us down and take us under, but the Republican conference, I think, is united in let's get behind President Trump's America First agenda. That's what we're doing on appropriations. We're making the cuts necessary, 2.7% overall. And a lot of these programs, which have been a waste of money, that in the past we are making good on that for the American taxpayer.
On appropriations at all, is there any chance you would back a CR if that's what they have to do?
Here's the problem with the CR. We're talking about a CR of a CR that is a continuation of Biden spending. If we're talking about a CR that has the things that we just took out using rescissions, why would we fund these things that we rescinded? It's ridiculous. The Appropriations Committee could be here over August and bang out all these bills. There's no reason with us controlling the White House, the Senate, and the House to not do single appropriations bills.
Do you think that the Senate in order to pass them, would have to get Democratic support? You think that would water down any bills and make it hard to pass over here?
I think you could get support for individual bills. Like if you take a big giant omnibus that's not a CR, it's written solely by Republicans. Of course, that's going to be hard to get 60 votes in the Senate. But send the DOD approps over there and tell them this is it. You either vote for this or the DOD's not funded. What that presents is not a showdown, but within silos it would give you sort of a battle that you could win instead of an all-inclusive, either all the government's funded or not.
Just to be clear, are you opposed to any kind of CR in the fall and September?
I'm opposed to a CR. It's hard to say I'd be opposed to anything you can imagine at this point. But if it's a straight up CR without an across the board cut, like I've endorsed the idea of a CR with a 1% cut. That's what we actually are supposed to do. That was written into law when Kevin McCarthy was the speaker. But this speaker found a clever way out of it, he thinks.